Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to today's 30 Minutes News with Tom. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, today's news. Wow, U.S. puts Italy-sized chunk of Gulf of Mexico up for auction for oil drilling. Right? So, alright, that's definitely interesting because I thought we're shifting to clean energies. We're done with oil, so how come we're selling maybe that's why, because we're selling, right? We're selling Italy, the country-sized chunk of Gulf of Mexico, for put it up for auction, for oil drilling. So that's pretty significant, Big chunk of sea. Former Starbucks CEO testifies during Senate hearing on treatment of employees unionizing. Alright, I'm not really gonna go into that one. Okay, Ukrainian President Zelensky invites China's President Xi Jinping to visit him in Ukraine, presumably. California couple take legal action after FBI seized 40K from the bank. So 40K, what is that? 40K from the bank. So why did they seize it, and how are they gonna get it back, right? So let's read that one. Right. Obama praises Xi Jinping, blames Trump for strained U.S.-China ties. Wow. So that's unexpected. I want to hear what Obama has to say about the U.S.-China relationship, especially when it comes to Xi Jinping's role, in the increasing tension between the two countries. All right. So a black and Asian student in Japan wasn't allowed to participate in his graduation due to his cornrows. Alright, cornrows. What is that? Let's take a look at it. Alright, so okay, new California gas price law, another defeat for oil industry. Does that mean the oil price is gonna go up or go down? Right? Let's take a look here. People are upset over sign KFC stores posted on their doors. What sign they put up? Alright, let's look at that. It's interesting. Whatever happened to the global chip shortage? That's what I want to know. So, alright, let's go into the news then. All right, first one, Italy cites chunk of Gulf of Mexico up for auction by the U.S. for oil drilling. An enormous swath of the Gulf of Mexico spanning an area the size of Italy will be auctioned up for oil and gas drilling on Wednesday morning. Today is Wednesday, so this morning. In the latest blow to Joe Biden's increasingly frayed reputation on dealing with the climate crisis. So as a chief advocate for clean energy, so why is Biden selling this swath of territory for drilling, right? So why? So Biden's Department of Interior is offering up this, right? This piece of sea area, right, for oil drilling. That will stretch out for over decades, right? So because these are capital investments, the equipment you have to build the oil drilling platforms, right? And that's capital investment, and it will take a long time for them to get their investment back, I assume, right? And they're not gonna just build that and then just stop after 5 years, it's very capital intensive, right? So it's gonna take decades, right? So it's a decades long project, right? So despite scientists' urgent warning that fossil fuels must be rapidly phased out, right, to avoid a irreversible global warming, right? So it's 30 million hectares, right, roughly the size of Italy, will be made available for drilling companies, less than a month before the 30th anniversary of the Deepwater Horizon oil disaster, right? The sale known as Lease 259, so it's a lease, right? So it's a right to drill. Has the potential to extract more than 1 billion barrels of oil and 4.4 10 cubic feet of gas. Okay, all right, over the next 50 years. So 50 years. We're talking about 50 years. So basically, the Biden administration has also approved another controversial project, right? A drilling project called the Willow Project, right? In Alaska's Arctic, that will remove more than 600 million barrels of oil over its lifetime, right? So it's less than the Gulf of Mexico one, but it's still a lot, all right? So basically, these are long-term investments, long-term plans for energy, right? To supply the global energy with oil, with freshly drilled oil, right? So, all right, so, billions of dollars for. Okay, so at the same time, so Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, right? So basically, that made billions of dollars available for renewable energy project and electric car subsidies. By the way, the new Tesla Model 3, which I believe has gone down in prices, right, this year. So basically, the new model year, the base model is gonna start at 41,000, which is already significantly reduced than compared to last year. I think where the starting price was 46,000, so 5,000 right there. And also, in addition to that, by you I mean the eligible, right, buyers, will get this $7,500 tax, basically federal clean energy tax credit, if you are to buy this vehicle. So that brings down the price even further, right? So basically, that's where the billions of dollars are going, right? So those places. So on one hand, you have this, Biden administration encouraging clean energy, EVs. On the other hand, it's basically selling all these, basically developing, all these fossil fuel resources, in different parts of the country, right? Gulf of Mexico, in Alaska, So it's kind of like giving out contradictory messages, right? Maybe EV is the future, clean energy definitely, because we have I think I read it somewhere that the U.S. last year generated more energy via renewable sources compared to the conventional sources like coal and burning coal to generate electricity, and as well as from fossil fuel, right? So that is pretty interesting, right? So yeah, so basically I think the decision to allow people to drill in the Gulf of Mexico, is to I guess to stabilize, right? So the world supply of oil for the ensuing decades, right? Because most part of the world, they're still relying on those conventional energy sources, So it's a strategic choice, right? So it's a strategic choice to supply our economy, our I would say infrastructure, even military, right, with the necessary resource to stay afloat, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think that's why he did that. Okay. So yeah. The next piece of news. So Zelensky, the Ukrainian embattled president. I mean, not politically, but physically embattled, right? So invites China's leader Xi Jinping to visit after Russia visit. So the Russian president visited Ukraine. That's crazy. All right. So to visit his nation following Xi's recent visit to Russia. Okay. So whoever wrote this, all right, after Russia visit, all right. So who did Russia visit? And who visited Russia, right? Is it him or is it Xi Jinping, right? So whoever wrote this article is Sarah. Okay, Sarah. It's bad journalism, right? So I want to speak with him, right? Zelensky said in the review, noting that two leaders haven't been in contact since Russian invasion last year, right? So it's why did he want to invite Xi Jinping, right? Because Xi Jinping visited Vladimir Putin, right? So he wants to know what they talked about, what's the vibe, on the situation, and how he wants to basically, get a vibe check, on China. Whose side China is on? Is China still pro peace, pro meeting, or is China now completely on Russia's side, right? So I think that's why, it's a bold move, right, to invite Xi Jinping over, because Xi Jinping hasn't really publicly condemned Russia for the actions, right, and for the invasion. But China has been a advocate on the peace talks, right? So it's interesting, to see how if Xi Jinping is going to respond to Zelensky's offer and what they're going to talk about during their meeting, right? So yeah, fingers crossed. I hope it happens. As one of the most important leaders in the world, right? Xi, and if he visited Russia, then to be fair, right? For fairness' sake, he should also visit Ukraine, right? That's why maybe that Zelensky invited him, right? I hope she accepts the offer, right? I don't know. All right. So the next one, California's couple take legal action after FBI seized 40K of their assets from the bank, of their hard-earned cash. All right. So why did they? Right. So basically, the feds reportedly seized more than 86 million in cash, jewelry, and gold from 1,400 safe deposit boxes amid a money laundering investigation. So it was suspected of money laundering, right? Money laundering. That's why their assets got seized, right? Impacted by. Okay, so the customers whose accounts were impacted by the March 2021 raid were not suspected of any crime. Okay, so why then? So said agency has not explained why it refuses to return her money. She and her husband, Reggie Martin, have teamed with nonprofit Institute for Justice for a class action lawsuit. So this nonprofit Institute for Justice, that's crazy. I've never heard of that place before. So you have a good cause, you can just hire them for free then? I don't know, it's nonprofit, right? Alright, so the FBI took my savings nearly 2 years ago, but never told me why. Alright, it's been a confusing and frustrating process from the day my money was taken. No one should have to go through this, right? So is this the person? Yeah, this is Linda Martin. Okay, so he was never committed a crime. Alright? Never convicted at least or charged of committing a crime. So why did the FBI now return their money, right? So the FBI seized tons of money, right? So these people are trying to get it back, and she's the first to, team up with this legal team to do something about it. But, don't know the background of this story, I don't know. This is tricky, right? So why did the FBI take their money, right? Not other people's money, right? So, all right, yeah, this is not really, unless it impacts you, right? Then it becomes very super important, right? Your life savings, right? So I'm empathetic, but at the same time, I don't know the whole story, so I'm not gonna comment much on it. So Obama praises Xi Jinping, blames Trump for strained U.S.-China ties. The U.S. president didn't seem to care. Alright, I mean, Trump definitely was trying to get some money back from China, right? Via the trade war. Thinking that China was unfairly using its advantage in the exchange rate to unilaterally dump products into the U.S. Well, benefit, from it, So, alright, so what happened, right? Obama also laid out a compliment for Xi Jinping, right? While speaking at the Aware Theatre in Sydney, Australia, in front of 9,000 people. Okay, so what did he say? Let's see. Externally, frankly, with my successor coming in, I think Xi Jinping saw an opportunity, because the U.S. president didn't seem to care that much about rules based on the international system, said Obama. Is that really a compliment? Because the U.S. president didn't seem... Okay, alright. So the Xi Jinping, I don't think that's a compliment, right? So it's basically saying she saw an weakness in the new, by new I mean Trump, right? The previous president. So then he tried to exploit that, right? What? Let's look at this. So I think China's attitude was, well, we can take advantage of what happened, what appears to be a vacuum internationally on a lot of those issues. So basically, Obama acknowledged that the relationship between the U.S. and China was significantly strained, and the tension between the two nations could remain in place in coming years. Okay. Obama, however, said things would not end well for China as it is started to claim international water territory claimed by its neighbors, namely the Philippines, one of them. While Obama praises Xi's forceful and confident demeanor when it came to relationship with the U.S., he said once he left office, the relationship deteriorated, right? So Trump has said recently that were he to re-elect president, he would pursue the hunting down of Chinese spies after a balloon from the country overflew the U.S., right? So, yeah, I don't know about the balloon case. I heard about it. The Chinese denied it. The U.S., they said, okay, it was China's spy balloon. I think what happened was that, the spy balloon case was, China claimed that those balloons belong to researchers, right? So it had nothing to do with the government, right? That didn't seem to, you know, it is sit well with many of the United States, lawmakers, right? People in power, and they didn't believe that. And then a lot of common people, say like myself, right? Didn't really believe that either. How can you send, so many balloons and over another country's territory, right? And without knowing anything about it, it's kind of weird. At least let people know, hey, I'm doing this, right? Okay. So yeah, I saw something quite interesting, so I want to just quickly talk about it. Jeff Bezos is making it easier than ever to become a landlord with just $100. So have you ever dreamed of becoming a landlord but didn't know where to begin? A startup with the backing of Jeff Bezos called Arrived Homes could be the answer to your prayers. With only $100, you can use this innovative platform to transform yourself into a property owner today. With a straightforward business model that has already attracted 243,000 investors, Arrived Homes has become a popular investment opportunity. How does it work? Arrived requires single-family rentals in emerging neighborhood, allows user to purchase. Okay, it's just basically investing in properties. It's basically like a shared property, shared investment in residential neighborhoods, right? And basically each investor, however much money they put in, they will get out of, from the rentman, right? So Arrive has proved its worth to investors through impressive results. So this platform was launched back in 2021, right? So the company's initial acquisition of 6 properties resulted in an outstanding average total return of 70.13%, with one property generating a remarkable 119.9 total return in under 2 years. I think this owes much to the crazy valuation of housing in the last 2 years, right? Crazy increase in rates in the valuation crazy rise in the valuation of housings, right? Especially single-family homes in the past 2 years. So the rent has gone up a lot, basically. So that benefits the investors and the stakeholders, right? So basically, right? So Arrive Homes' meticulous selection process is key to its success, right? So basically, it utilizes AI and experts to identify undervalued properties, investment opportunities, and buy such properties, and rent them out, and provide a share of the rent, basically to the investors, right? Co-investors, right? So this, I think this is nothing new, right? So this shared investment properties is nothing new. This platform is new, right? Arrived Homes. It is pretty much making it easy for people to invest in this kind of ventures, right? So this is grow your real estate portfolio. Okay. So basically, okay, let's look at these, right? So I'm on their website right now. So okay, this 2,000 square feet bedroom in Arkansas, right? It's listed for $137,000. Wow, that's just cheap, guys. That's super cheap. You can't even buy a bathroom with that money in San Francisco or LA, right? So anyway, this 255 investors we have and 86% funded. So as soon as this thing goes to the end, like it's 100% funded, they're gonna make the purchase and they're gonna rent it out, and you're gonna basically see your money grow, right? But not see your money grow, but yes, because you have a share of this property, right? You probably get also a monthly passive income. So I don't know how much rent this is gonna generate, right? This property is pretty cheap, right? It depends, right? Let's not go into it. But that's the app, right? That's the company. Arrived Home, right? Arrived Homes, right? Let's close that. Alright, what else do I have? New California gas price law, another defeat for oil industry. This just this published yesterday. Okay. So, Governor Newsom of California called out, the oil industry for being too powerful. Basically, it's harming the nature, right? Physically and politically, right? So, yet on Tuesday, Newsom signed a new law that gave state regulators the power to penalize oil companies for making too much money. Well, alright, the first of its kind in the country for making too much money. It's gonna get penalized, right? It's the type of legislature the oil industry might have crushed in the past. But on Monday, the bill cleared the state assembly with only one Democrat voting against it. We proved we could finally beat big oil, Newsom said on Tuesday after signing the bill. The bill is the latest string of defeats for oil industry in California, a state they don't think of it as a fossil fuel powerhouse, but for decades, California was one of the leading oil producers in the United States. Right? So I didn't know that. Okay, so, alright, so let's see what's the bill is all about. Okay. So the state has pretty ambitious, goals, right, for oil, for emission, right, carbon emission, right. So as you can see, I highlighted. State regulators have banned the sale of most fossil fuel cars by 2035. Okay, that I know. Okay, so what is the bill then? So the goal is to minimize and mitigate the power of big oil. Okay, so the big oil, of course, is not admitting defeat, right? It's spending at least tens of millions of dollars for lobbying, right? On lobbying, right? So apparently who is this guy? Vince Vaughn. All right, so this is assembly member. Oh, it's pretty interesting. Right, probably went to Stanford. Right, I don't know. Right. Likewise, the industry spent millions of campaign contributions in 2020 campaigns supporting both Democrats and Republicans, of course. So let's talk about the bipartisan policies, right? So the Republicans are, more pro big oil than the Democrats, right? So what's to stop them from passing the cost of this new tax with higher prices on the pump? So it's gonna be, the bill is gonna be in the form of a tax for the big oils, and this guy is saying, okay, this guy is saying, the oil company is just gonna pass on the cost to the consumers. This is, I know, the California is shifting towards EV, so I guess, Newsom doesn't really care if we're gonna end up paying a bigger gas bill, right? Hopefully they're gonna give us more refunds, in the future, Alright, that's my opinion on this. So big oil and the majority of the clean future advocates, majority of the Democrats, they're basically engaged in this, battle of influence, right, with money, right? So status quo, right? So basically, there's a new state law that is gonna ban the drilling of new oil wells near homes, schools, and other sensitive areas, but basically those environmentally fragile areas, right? So it's trying to ban from drilling over there. At the same time, Biden's administration just approved the basically not the sales, but the auctioning of that swath of water in the Gulf of Mexico and also Alaska. So it's contradictory, right? So, you know, you have California, the most liberal country in a liberal state in the country. And, you also have Biden, who's supposedly a Democrat, right? And, what they do and what they say are kind of contradicting themselves, right? So, yeah. Yeah, so okay, Ohio KFCs. So I just want to wrap this up, right? So KFCs, basically in Ohio, some Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants put up signs said all uniformed police officers eat free every day, all day. Wow, wow. We can never thank the public sector enough for the work they do. Okay, so the police officers in Ohio can eat for free, right? If you're a cop in Ohio, hey, you're in luck. All right, that's a good gesture, I suppose. So I was in the military. I was basically in the public service, as a uniformed personnel. I never got anything, free meal, free lunch. Yeah, but it's, I don't know why. But it's good that some companies, they care about that kind of stuff, right? It's very important. We show appreciation, obviously. All right. So last thing is what happened to a global chip shortage. President Biden has been traveling across the country to meet with state leaders in an effort to ramp up semiconductor production across the United States. So yesterday we talked about yesterday. I keep getting these text messages. Give me a second. Okay, let's just finish talking about this, right? So, semiconductor. Yesterday we talked about the Defense Production Act, right? The president enacted that one, and not enacted, but just what do you call it? Authorized that one, right? So basically, that appropriated $50 million to the semiconductor industry in the U.S., I believe, part of Canada, to produce more circuit boards, right? So America is coming back, Biden says, right? So we're determined to lead the world in manufacturing of semiconductors, right? So, chip shortage. What was the chip shortage? All right, so the percentage has plummeted over time to just 12%. Construction operation fab has become more expensive. So the cost of producing chips in the U.S., it has gone down, and the cost has gone up. And the U.S. produces around 37% of all the chips used around the world. That's a lot. I didn't know. I thought most chips were produced in Taiwan. So basically, just watch as in revenue went offshore. So basically, we try to just near shoring, just bring those industries, the manufacturing, back to the country, right? So that's basically okay. There's more to this, right? So what happened to the shortage? Okay. So we're still in a shortage or not? Okay, we couldn't keep up with the demand, right? Okay, let's see. So have we caught up with the manufacturing? All right. So, yeah. Okay. So I see that a lot of companies they started building facilities, domestically on U.S. soil, right? After the CHIPS Act, the CHIPS Act was signed, I don't know, last year, basically it's to encourage, bring semiconductor industry back to the U.S., right? So we're trying to add capacity. So we're trying to increase production. We're trying to increase fundings, right? We're trying to encourage private investments, right? We're trying to build more jobs by doing all these, right? By the CHIPS Act, right? It's a long and hard road to follow, right? But we're determined to walk down this path, right? Because we need to, be self-sufficient, right? In critical industries like semiconductor, right? Because everything, our cars, dishwashers, dryers, and everything, it's they require chips, right? Everything is electronic nowadays, right? It's digitalized, right? So basically the message I get from these is that we're caught up on the chips, right? So, for the most part. However, a long-term plan is still in place, to build the additional capacity, the resources, the fundings for producing the critical chips, right, in the United States, right? So yeah. That's all I really got. I think we're well over the 30 minutes mark. So yeah, I appreciate everybody for staying with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.